The stars shimmered above Earth like the silent eyes of forgotten gods, watching as a tear split the sky. It wasn't a meteor or a man-made satellite, but something vaster, sleeker than imagination, darker than the void. The world held its breath as it hovered in low orbit, casting a shadow across oceans and continents alike. It didn't fire, didn't communicate. It simply waited. In the command center beneath Geneva, the United Planetary Council sat in stunned silence. Leaders, generals, scientists, all their voices had been swallowed by the presence on every monitor. The ship was beyond comprehension, pulsing with energy signatures no human technology could decode. And then, without fanfare or warning, a signal, not from the ship, but from something deeper. A pale light filled the room as a hologram shimmered into existence. The being it projected was tall, robed in silver threads that moved like smoke, its features blurred, as if the universe itself refused to define them. It spoke without sound, implanting thought directly into the minds of every world leader. "We pass on the last guardian," the voice echoed within. "Your species has reached the inflection point. You may wield what we cannot control. But know this, once given, it cannot be taken back." In an instant, the entity was gone, and the ship, soon dubbed Erebus, descended into human custody. Captain Elias Marek stood on the observation deck of the Lunar Transfer Station, eyes fixed on the beast sleeping in the hangar below. Erebus was a monstrosity of black alloys and curved blades, shaped less like a machine and more like something grown in the void. It hummed beneath his feet, as if aware of his gaze. Chosen by it, they said, or maybe cursed. He had been a pilot, a war hero, a tactician. But none of that qualified him to interface with a machine that predated human civilization. And yet, the ship had bonded with him during a preliminary scan. No one else could get within 10 meters without being repelled by electromagnetic bursts. It opened only for him. "Commander Marek," said Dr. Solinyara, stepping beside him. She was a leading xenotechnologist in the program, sharp, reserved, and deeply distrustful of the ship. "It's Captain," he corrected gently. "Not anymore. Erebus just made you the most dangerous man in the system. Titles will follow." She held up a datapad. "Preliminary scans show the ship's weapon systems are dormant. We've only accessed 2% of its systems. Everything else is locked behind some kind of neural encryption. It's alive in a way we don't understand." Marek nodded. "And it chose me. Or it needed a human weak enough to mold." She shot back, too tired to disguise her cynicism. He didn't flinch, or strong enough to resist what it wants. She stared at him a moment longer. "We're installing a bridge crew from all the major nations. International oversight. Everyone gets a hand on the wheel. This thing doesn't belong to one man." "Tell that to the ship," he murmured. The first time he entered the neural core, Marek felt like he was falling sideways. The chamber pulsed with bioluminescent threads, coiling through crystalline conduits. He touched the interface, and the world went white. He found himself standing in an impossible landscape, a sky of shifting stars, a floor of liquid light. And in front of him stood a figure. It was not human. It shimmered like glass in firelight, its face constantly changing. Old, young, male, female, alien. "I am Nyx," it said. "Erebus listens through me." Marek instinctively reached for a weapon that wasn't there. Nyx tilted its head. "You are not ready, but you are all we have. I didn't ask for this." No one did, not even us. Images flooded him. Entire civilizations turned to ash, great armadas consumed in flashes of antimatter. The memories of Erebus, a ship forged for guardianship, but used for genocide. And always the same result. Its pilots lost themselves to its power. "You will be tested," Nyx said, "and through you, your kind. We offer you the key not to conquer, but to survive." When he opened his eyes again, he was back in the core. His breath came in short gasps, sweat beading his forehead. A voice whispered in his mind, not threatening, but ancient and tired. Others will come. 2 weeks later, they launched Erebus on its first low-orbit patrol. Spectators filled cities across the globe, their eyes skyward. The press called a triumph of unity. Others called a gamble. On board, the bridge buzzed with nervous energy. Officers barked commands in sync. The walls responded not with metal clicks, but soft, organic pulses. It felt like being inside the body of a god. Telemetry stable. Power levels optimal. All systems nominal, said Lieutenant Ramos, his voice betraying awe. Marek sat at the command throne, now accustomed to the strange humming beneath his bones. Nix whispered updates only he could hear, feeding him data before anyone else on the bridge had access. Suddenly, alarms flared. A proximity alert. A foreign signal was approaching fast, unlike anything in known databases. Marek stood. On screen, the display filled with jagged silhouette, like a twisted dagger sailing through the void. Behind it, a trail of shattered satellites. Dr. Yara's voice came through comms from Earth. We just picked up a transmission. It's not a warning. It's a challenge. From who? There was a long pause. We're not sure, but the translation is clear. Return what is not yours, or we'll take it back piece by piece. Silence fell over the bridge. Set a defensive posture, Marek ordered. No aggression unless provoked. And then, more quietly to himself, let's see what kind of legacy they left us. The ship responded, lights pulsing like a heartbeat. Nix's voice echoed once more in his mind. So it begins. And in that moment, Elias Marek understood this wasn't a gift. It was a test. And failure didn't mean death. It meant extinction. The first strike came without warning. A mining outpost orbiting the gas giant Lyra, 9 was reduced to vapor. Its wreckage scattered like dust among Saturn-sized rings. The attackers left no survivors, no demands. Only a signature, an unfamiliar frequency broadcasting a single phrase on loop. Unworthy custodians. On the bridge of Erebus, the message repeated for the 12th time as Elias Marek listened with clenched fists. Around him, his officers scanned for source vectors, weapon traces, anything. But the enemy had vanished as quickly as it had come, like ghosts in the void. What's the council saying? Marek asked. Commander Salin, his second-in-command, grimaced. Political panic. They think we provoked someone by activating Erebus. The Varn Dominion has already condemned the incident and demanded we stand down the ship. Stand down? Marek laughed without humor. They just leveled one of our installations. Dr. Solene Yara stepped forward from her console, visibly pale. It wasn't just an attack. The energy readings match a weapon system almost identical to Erebus. Whoever hit us, they're using derivative technology. That means someone somewhere cracked part of the ship's design. Marek's eyes narrowed. So now the galaxy has copies. Crude ones, Yara added, but effective. They're watching what we do and adapting. Nick spoke then, its voice like glass cracking in frozen air. The awakening of Erebus has signal powers far beyond your current sphere. The Varn, the Orlith, others hidden. Each sees this ship as a trigger, a return to the era of star weapons. Then let them come, Marek said. They want a demonstration? Let's give them one. Word came within hours. The Varn fleet had massed at the Lyra system, citing the attack as justification to block further human expansion into sector space. They demanded Erebus be turned over for neutral dismantling. The council was divided. The high command wanted diplomacy, others retaliation. Marek had no illusions. The Varn weren't negotiating. They were preparing. Within a day, Erebus slipped silently into warp, its hull folding through space like a ripple in cloth. No fanfare, no warning. Only Marek's core crew, handpicked for loyalty and clarity of purpose, came aboard. The ship arrived at Lyra's orbit as the Varn fleet settled into blockade formation. Over 24 Capel-class warships, bristling with artillery, their hulls scarred from 100 battles. They looked ancient and powerful, but Marek knew Erebus was something else entirely. Open comms, he said. The Varn commander appeared on screen, a scaled, bronze-skinned being with eyes like boiling mercury. You bring the abomination. It hissed. Surrender it or be reduced to echoes. Marek didn't blink. You attacked our people without cause. We respond in kind. He cut the transmission. The silence on the bridge was heavy, expectant. Engage! Erebus moved like a predator uncoiling. Where the Varn ships launched salvos of kinetic warheads and plasma torpedoes, Erebus answered with elegance. Beams of blue light lanced outward, carving through metal like silk. But this was no simple show of force. Erebus wasn't just destroying, it was analyzing. Its AI began mimicking enemy frequencies, hacking their targeting systems, rerouting their communications to feed on their own confusion. On the bridge, Marek watched as entire cruisers fell into one another in chaotic spirals. The ship's quantum singularity cannon fired once, and a Varn dreadnought ceased to exist, sucked into a momentary void. Casualty count? Marek asked. 17 Varn vessels destroyed. For disabled. No surviving communications. Salen reported, stunned. The battle had lasted less than 7 minutes. On Earth, reactions fractured. The Council tried to spin the event as self-defense. But in the outer colonies, Marek's name became legend. Recruitment for the Terran fleet surged. New systems requested Terran protection. Dr. Yara wasn't celebrating. She stared at the footage in silence, reviewing each tactical decision. You killed 10,000 beings in under 10 minutes. Marek didn't look up. We saved millions. She crossed her arms. At what cost? You don't think Erebus enjoys this? You don't think it's guiding you? Nyx manifested beside them, a projection now refined into the semblance of a woman cloaked in shadow and circuitry. Captain Marek acted his own will. I merely facilitate potential. Is that what this is now? Yara asked. Potential? No, Marek said. This is survival. Word spread fast. The Orolith Concord, keepers of galactic diplomacy, sent envoys to demand accountability. They offered arbitration, science teams, observation missions. But beneath the calm exterior was fear. Humanity had tipped the balance. A rogue species, one step out of pre-warp infancy, now held a relic that once ended empires. But Marek couldn't stop. He'd seen the projections, what waited beyond known space. The signal Nyx first warned was growing stronger. Something ancient was stirring, responding to Erebus' awakening. And if others were also building copies, time was running out. That night, alone in the neural chamber, Marek interfaced with Nyx once more. They hate us, he whispered, because we weren't supposed to have this. Nyx's form flickered in acknowledgement. They hate what you represent. Change, uncertainty, chaos. The others built walls. You build fire. Is that what this ship was meant for? Fire. No! Nyx said, but in the hands of the desperate, fire becomes prophecy. Marek opened his eyes slowly, the neural glow fading. Below the ship's silent hull, stars drifted by like ashes. Another signal pinged on the console, an encrypted burst. Unknown origin. Coordinates outside the map systems. No message, no origin signature. Only one line embedded deep in the data stream. Return what is not yours or be unmade. Marek stared at the words and made his decision. Plot a course, he said. We're not waiting to be hunted. We strike first. And in the darkness of space, Erebus moved once again, not as a ship of peace nor conquest, but as a warning. The edge of known space was not a place of silence. It breathed. It whispered with particles older than stars, sung through radiation storms, and sighed under the weight of collapsed realities. That was where Erebus now drifted, just outside a gravitational anomaly that pulsed like a heartbeat across every sensor. Captain Elias Marek stood motionless on the bridge, watching the anomaly twist light around itself. The coordinates embedded in the anonymous transmission had led them here, a nameless void just beyond the Veil Nebula. There were no planets, no star systems, only this anomaly, perfectly spherical, perfectly wrong. Dr. Yara tapped away at her console, her voice tight with disbelief. It's not a wormhole, not a black hole. It's artificial. Something's maintaining that structure. Salen glanced up. Any trace of sender? She shook her head. The encryption used something I've never seen. Like it was grown, not programmed. Marek stepped forward. So it's a trap. No, Nyx whispered in his mind. It's a challenge. The voice had grown more present in recent days. Not louder, not hostile, just constant. Nyx spoke now not only in Marek's mind, but through the ship, through the dreams of the crew. Some awoke with memories that weren't theirs. Others saw flickers of alien constellations in the dark. The crew's morale had begun to fracture, not from fear, but from awe, from the realization that their ship, their mission, was no longer bound by human understanding. They weren't just wielding a weapon, they were becoming part of it. Marek opened comms. Prepare to launch a scout drone. Minimal energy signature. I want to see what's inside that thing. The drone fired silently into the void. Time warped as it passed through the anomaly's event shell, vanishing instantly from sight and sensors. Then, without warning, it returned, spat out as data. Not debris, not wreckage, just information. Soline Yara gasped as the download unfolded on her screen. Captain, it mapped something. A structure, massive. Artificial orbitals around a dead star. This anomaly is a gateway. Someone built this. Someone's inside. The tension sharpened. Marek felt it. The shift from observer to participant. Every instinct told him to retreat. Every calculation pointed to this being a point of no return. He looked to Salen, who gave a single nod. Take us in. As Erebus crossed the threshold, reality fractured. Not in pain, not in chaos, but like slipping into a deeper layer of existence. The stars dimmed. Colors shifted. Time dilated and retracted like breath. They emerged in a system that could not exist. Ruins floated among asteroid rings like bones. Great arches of metal, monoliths larger than cities, and a single intact spire rotating slowly at the center. It pulsed with power too vast to be understood, and from it came a signal, not hostile, but inevitable. A boarding party was assembled. Marek led it himself, with Yara, Salen, and 2 security officers. Erebus provided full scans, but every metric came back wrong. Dimensions changed the closer they came. They docked at the spire's airlock and stepped into silence. The interior was cathedral-like, vaulted ceilings, impossible angles, walls alive with soft pulses. Alien script crawled across surfaces like vines of light. Then it spoke. You carry the seed of Erebus. Do you understand what that means? The voice was not Nyx's. It came from everywhere. Floor, ceiling, air. Something ancient was watching them. Marek answered. We were chosen. Or cursed. We're still figuring it out. You are the third, the voice said. The first turned the weapon inward. The second tried to command it. Both failed. You'll come farther. Yara stepped forward. Who are you? We are the architects, the voice replied. Builders of the Warden-class vessels. Erebus was not meant to be a sword. It was a final shield. But time and war eroded the purpose. The line between guardian and destroyer faded. A flash of light revealed a vast chamber. In the center floated a suspended core, identical to Erebus's, but fractured, lifeless. Around it, skeletal remains of another crew in armor eerily like theirs. The last crew who came here failed to resist the weapon's will, the voice intoned. They fed it vengeance, and it consumed them. Marek approached the core, staring at the wreckage. Why show us this? To warn you, the voice replied. The others are waking. You've broken the silence. The Voidborn will come now. That name echoed in Marek's bones. He didn't understand it, not yet, but it felt like a memory buried deep. Back aboard Erebus, the bridge was chaos. A fleet had emerged the anomaly's mouth. Ships unlike any previously encountered. No faction, no signals, no pattern. Just silence and movement. Sleek, obsidian crafts shaped like weapons from forgotten nightmares. Ramos turned, pale. They're not responding to hails. They're just waiting. Marek and the boarding team returned just as the enemy began their approach. They had seen the truth in the spire. This was no longer about one ship. It was a war of inheritance, of legacy. Nyx appeared on the bridge, more defined than ever. They are not here to negotiate. They are here to test. Marek sat in the command throne. Then we answer. The bridge lights dimmed as Erebus powered up its full arsenal. But this time, it wasn't just about destruction. The ship had evolved, reacting to what it had learned in the spire. New systems emerged, new forms of defense. Shields formed in geometric lattices, warping space-time around them. Solene looked to Marek. "If we fire, we cross the final line." "We already did," he said quietly. "When we survived." The enemy ships launched, and Erebus, humming with the voice of forgotten empires and the will of one man, moved to meet them. The battle that would define humanity's place in the stars had begun. The first impact didn't register sound, but pressure. Erebus absorbed it like a stone taking a wave, its hull distorting subtly under the kinetic distortion. The enemy didn't fire conventional weapons. They wielded force like language, hurling spatial distortions, reality tears, bursts of directed entropy. And still, Erebus held. Captain Marek stood in stillness, his eyes locked on the swirling patterns ahead. The void-born fleet had no formation. They moved like a swarm of thought, unbound by inertia or hierarchy, dancing around the Terran ship as if waiting for it to falter. But Erebus was far from fragile. It had tasted war, and now it evolved. On Mars' command, the ship's offensive systems activated. Not just lasers or singularity weapons, but new systems Nyx had unlocked after interfacing with the Spire's memory core. Ribbons of spatial rupture lashed outward, unfurling like solar flares, shattering two void-born ships into spirals of unbound molecules. They retaliated with silence. One vessel blinked out of normal space and reappeared behind Erebus, discharging a cone of null field, an area devoid of force or reaction. For a breathless moment, Erebus floated like a corpse, dead in the void. Then Nyx intervened. She didn't speak aloud. She didn't need to. A pulse spread to the ship's systems, a harmonic resonance that rebooted its control lattice on a deeper level. The light surged back, and Erebus moved again, not with thrusters, but by folding along previously inaccessible geometries of space. The battle became a ballet of impossible physics. Solene Yara, breath shallow, operated her station with hands trembling not from fear, but reverence. "The ship isn't just reacting anymore," she said. "It's predicting them, learning." "They're learning too," Salem countered, gesturing to a group of void-born vessels now moving in coordinated patterns, mimicking Erebus shift timing. "They're adapting. Fast." A sudden explosion rocked the port side. One of the new lattice shields buckled under focused bombardment. 3 decks were exposed to vacuum before the ship sealed them. Life signs gone. 23 crew lost. Marek clenched the armrest of his command chair. "We can't survive a war of attrition," he muttered. "We need to break them." Nyx's voice returned, more focused than ever. "You must sever their link. They share perception through a central array. One ship among them holds the core." "Which one?" Marek asked. Nyx hesitated. Something rare in her. "I cannot see it. You must feel it." He closed his eyes. The command interface opened to him, not with symbols or controls, but impressions. He drifted into the neural layer, and the ship welcomed him like breath. He felt its pain, its power, its longing. In that clarity, something called him from among the enemy. A pulse, distinct, irregular, not like the others. When he opened his eyes, he pointed. "That one, upper right quadrant. It's slower. Shield variations aren't synchronized." "Targeting now," Salem confirmed. Yara interrupted. "If you destroy that node, their fleet will collapse. But whatever they are, that node is alive." Marek knew what she meant. He wasn't striking a reactor or a computer. He was ending a consciousness, the center of a shared mind. But the alternative was extinction, not just of their crew, of Earth, of everything that hadn't yet stepped into the dark. "Fire," he said. The quantum singularity cannon roared, this time more refined, its energy compressed into a filament of gravity denial. The targeted void-born ship fractured mid-dimension, its outer form collapsing inward, while echoes of it screamed across sensor rays. The rest of the fleet hesitated, disoriented. Then, like a web cut from its anchor, they fell apart. Some imploded. Others fled into deep space, scattering like sparks from a dying star. Silence returned. No one cheered. Not out of grief, but awe. The scale of what they had survived was too vast for celebration. Marek leaned forward, exhausted, his voice barely audible. "Damage report." Ramos responded. "Severe hull scoring. 3 decks gone. Weapon systems drained. But we're alive. Salen added quietly. And so is the ship, in ways we don't yet understand. Yara stared at her screen. You felt it too, didn't you, Captain? That link. It wasn't just tactical. You merged with Erebus. He nodded slowly. I didn't guide it. I became it. A quiet chime interrupted them. An incoming signal. Not from any known source. Not Varn. Not Orlith. Not even the Voidborn. It was older, deeper. A waveform encoded in a language Nyx herself didn't recognize. And yet, she translated it. 1 trial passed. 2 remain. Below the message, new coordinates. Marek leaned back. The exhaustion in his bones surpassed only by the certainty in his chest. We're not done, he said. Solene stepped forward, eyes locked on him. Captain, if we follow this path, there may be no way back. There isn't, Marek replied. We've stepped beyond the veil. Now we find out why. Outside the viewports, the anomaly that brought them flickered, and then slowly and possibly began to close. Whatever came next, they were already committed. In the distance, beyond the newly charted horizon, stars blinked in sequences that weren't random. They were waiting.